technology and all that. I've got a couple of very interesting slides that I've experienced myself, right?
Yes, for sure. I already let you share your screen. Finally,
very interesting slides that
finally
I've experienced.
We here, ladies and gentlemen, we are online with very interesting person, very distinguished worldwide, actively well-known in the blockchain community as well. I don't know where you, don't be aware. Here with us is Mru Patel. I want to introduce you from myself. As you mentioned, the topics, hot topics are now is life after lockdown and digital transformation of businesses. You have a model of top 10 crises that, of top 10 countries that all businesses will have to look at today, die or not. Plus, views how blockchain, AI, crypto digital currencies will reshape the fintech industry, and about your vision, how the world in next 10 or 15 years will be the hottest sectors and technologies. I want to introduce you as futurologist. The word is yours. Go ahead. You're extremely welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, Sergey. Thank you. So yeah, just a few little corrections. The top 10 C's is what I call it. What C's are there that people will have to do to stay alive? Okay, so we'll go through that. And yeah, I'm a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author. I've written about 7 books, a public speaker, including TED Talks, but I've probably spoken to more than 1 million people in my life already, ranging from public sector people through to technology people. My background is technology. So right from the early days of when the digital switch got started with a company called Plessey GEC, then to Unisys and Burroughs and Sperry in those days, then Nixdorf for all the retail ATM finance sector with, mainly in London and Europe, all the way through to then the heart of when the big explosion started again, after the mobile phones started, the explosion of the .com market and the Java market when it all started. So I was at the heart of it with Sun Microsystems when it all started, as a visionary and then a business manager for various sectors. And then real estate in its prime as well. So that was kind of like my hobby, passion, investment sectors. I set up 2 funds and exited them as well. So I've got that experience, things that I love and touch, health, wellness, holistic things. And then last 4 years, the blockchain and the crypto space since the crisis. So that's the breadth and depth of my, not knowledge, but real experience as well as knowledge, right? And where I see the world now is how to bring it all together. That's why I started. So having made and lost tens and millions of pounds and dollars or whatever, I've seen it with real experience, what the various crises are, having been through 3 crashes already, right? So what works, what doesn't work, what happens pre-crisis, what happens post-crisis, things along those lines. And if you don't mind, I can share that slide over here. Let me just, I'm allowed to share here, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, okay, so let me just go, where do I share? Okay, this is, it's not allowing me. You sure you've allowed me to share? Okay, I've got it.
Sorry, maybe just...
No, I've got it, I think. Can you see it?
Yes.
You can see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me just close. Yeah, very crazy desktop, as you can see. Okay, so here's the slide that I was actually, let's see where we go with this. 1 second.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like this quote, what counts in life is not mere facts that we've lived. It is what the difference we make and live lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. I like this because COVID-19 really puts this now in perspective, that people have realized that the value of being locked down around the world, there are other things that we have neglected. And I think it was a blessing in disguise, as we were talking before we started this, that people are now appreciating the smaller things of life, like friends, family, nature, respect for other people, collaborations, and all these things, like live digital conferences like what we're doing, things along those lines. People are appreciating how to do this. And my thing is, between 10 and 20% of my time, I always give and share without expecting something back. That's the trick in my happiness model. So when you give and share things to help other people and in other people's lives, like Nelson Mandela, so I can really resonate with him. And I can also resonate with Steve Jobs, who I've met as well during the dot-com days. And you need to be crazy these days, because if you're not going to be crazy and you can't change anything, you will die now. So this is even more true than ever before. And the way I look at it is, the world is now at a reset mode. So what I mean by that is, a lot of people where when I was there in the 90s, and we were talking about the dot-com, and the network is the computer was our mantra, right? Meaning you only need a network, and you could be anywhere in the world as long as you have a mobile phone. In those days, we used to call it a Java phone, which had just started, and any form of a thin client, we called it, a dumb device, which is now all the things we see: smartphones, tablets, and hard disk less machines. So we used to call that the client. And what's happened with the COVID-19 now is people have realized they don't need a lot of the products, services that they've been so dependent on. More importantly, even the businesses have realized if they don't adhere to some form of major disruptive change, they will die. And the classic examples are the hospitality, airlines industry, plus the bricks and mortar types of businesses and stores that are on most high streets. I see 50% of those, if they don't change their model, they will die. 3 years ago, when I was on stage in California as well, we were talking about the future of tokens, the future of blockchain, future of asset-backed tokens. People are saying, what asset-backed tokens are you talking about? It's ICOs these days. Otherwise, there is no game. What are you on about? Because my real estate experience and businesses came to say that, why would I invest in something I can't look, feel, and touch with? And that's why I never believed that model. And I predicted, look, 50% of all retail banks and retail stores and all that we see will die if they don't change, if they don't adopt digital currency, if they don't adopt some form of blockchain, and if they don't go online with a major disruptive ecosystem to serve the client to their needs, then again, they will die, okay? And in that information explosion, people now are just one click away. You could say, I need to shop for my groceries through to, even flowers or presents or gifts or shoes. I mean, I bought a Mercedes S-Class in the 1990s. You can imagine, online, just to show people that, look, this dot-com thing is real. So, just giving you some examples. So that's the reset. People are now saying, shit, yeah, 20 something years ago, people were talking about it. Now, because of the COVID-19, people are saying, we have to buy it this way, otherwise it's not normal. So that's where I see it happening. And on the downside, I see the society with a lot of issues with, all the world peace, and you see all the problems just now going on with all the problems which are related with the American incidences about the shooting. So people are now, because information is so much at hand, people are realizing what's happening much faster than the olden days. So what's really happening now is, with that information across all sectors, people will get a better lifestyle and a better work-life balance. Because why do you have to work 9 to 5 in an office? That's how people are now thinking, right? There are some major problems and solutions to overcome this, in my view, okay? So whilst most countries are in this lockdown, and governments are just printing money like it's going out of fashion, without realizing at the end of the day, someone has to pay. And it's usually the taxpayer or some form of, how do I call it? A system where deflation sets in and the currencies get deflated, and it's debt on top of debt on top of debt, and it's a bubble about to burst, or there's going to be another huge, forget crisis, it could be depression territory if things are not sorted out properly. And the people who get affected the most in this problem are the small entrepreneurs, the medium-sized entrepreneurs, the startups, the small mom and pop shops, and these kind of people who will find it very difficult. Recent graduates from universities won't be able to find a job very easily. Unemployment will just start going up. We've already seen, tens of millions of people followed, in jobs around the world. So this is just the start. And what we need to make sure that if people don't reskill themselves and don't look at a different way, then this will happen. Let me get a better slide for this one, because this one is not visible. Let me see if I can find a better version, because that's the thing that's happening right now. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
can you
yes,
see it?
Yeah.
Can you see this, Sergey? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about here is this fast pace of change. In the early days, it used to take a long time to implement anything. Nowadays, people are into just in time based technology development. So if you can't deliver something fast, how did the MVPs develop? These days people do a white paper, do an MVP, and raise tens of millions. So this speed of execution is very key nowadays. So don't go for 100%, go for 80%, but at least move. And again, this is kind of like my history since I would say the Gen X level. So I've been past the Sperry Univac days. I worked for that company. I worked for the Compacts and a little bit of work with the Apple guys. And then my core was in that 2000, where the development of the internet, the .com and the Java and the smartphones really started, okay? And that's where we saw the World Wide Web starting, which took almost 20 odd years to establish, if you think about it now, right? And that's the time when we said, where the world is going to go, because we used to have data centers where people thought, how do we scale this? And I remember the talks with eBays and Amazons of the world saying, how do we mirror our data centers so we are never offline? So when people say cryptography is new, no, it's not new. It's been there for a very long time. So just go and look up that. And by the way, I'm getting a book out very soon, so you can read about all of that stuff without taking too much time here. And even in those days, we were looking at quantum computing, and now it's quantum and nano-based computing. And people want to get to a position where, in the day we were trying to challenge, you being Russian, the famous chess playing competitions using computers, right? But nowadays it is possible, right, Sergey? Right?
Yeah, for sure. I want to mention that you are talking that people don't have enough time to create someone new. They don't have enough time. They haven't tools, because now every kind of tools around us. That's why now any kind of creation go much more faster. I don't know what's be going on with artificial intelligence when our mind I will somehow be transformed into logistic. That's why I don't want to interrupt it.
No problem. No problem.
It's very interesting because now.
Yeah, so let me tell you where I think it's going. Okay, so that's where we are now, 2020. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've just gone past the nano chip and this Generation Z, Gen Z, as the Americans say it. Okay. So we've got almost a momentum happening now where nano chips, and you can get 0.5 terabyte, 1 terabyte onto a very, very small chip these days in storage. Forget about all this 16 core and 32 core types of chip technology that's happening now. So the processing power that we have, even on a mobile phone these days, was filling very large data centers.
Yes.
Just 25 years ago, right? If you think about it. So now, because as you said, the speed is so quick,
Yeah.
AI and machine learning and deep learning with real cognitive psychology, where people want to get into how to think what's going to happen next and do predictive based analysis based on using these technologies with computing power. Excuse me. So what's happening now is, with this AI, deep learning, ML based technologies and other cognitive predictive ways of looking at things. I'll give you an example. We are developing an AI ML based, deep learning based trading bot for our exchange. Okay. And this will even tell you, not only on the back data based on your strategy that you've chosen. Okay, we'll have 4 or 5 strategies that are tried, tested, and proven, but we will on the fly let the user choose the type of strategy he wants to deploy for doing a trade. And based on that, it will give you not only the back data in terms of integrating it with big data and AI based technologies to crunch those numbers fast. It will take multiple inputs from market sensitivity analysis right the way through to analytics and tools based things, trends, the supply demand kind of things, all these kind of things, to then say, if you place the trade at this time for this at this strike price, this is what might be the outcome to it. So this is only possible because of some of the technologies available. Now, if you take that same uh, thought process and apply it to other lines of business, you can imagine anything from aviation, anything from the whole of supply chain, how to cut down the middleman and how to shorten your distances, how to shorten your supply chain. All these kinds of various analysis can be done, where at the end of the day, the user benefits and the price comes down, speed of delivery goes faster, and everyone's happy. So if people don't deploy these kinds of technologies going forward, as I keep saying strongly, they will die. It's time to transform and take charge of your business, how you're going to deliver to the client. The clients become impatient now, and he wants the service delivered at his house rather than going out, parking his car, paying the parking meter, hanging around, waiting in someone's waiting room for 1 hour, drinking their rubbish coffee, and then be told in 15 minutes, this is what's wrong, go home, and they've just wasted 1.5 hours. People don't have time for that anymore. And this can be due for car servicing or even various consultancy kind of practices that get you to do that, especially doctors and people like that. So where I see the future in even the next 15, 20 years is a time when the whole cities, and smart cities we were talking about even in the 90s, and we had some pilots there in just outside UK. So even in the 90s, our campus, we used to have this thing called a COTAG, which was a Java card. Our CEO, Scott McNeely, had a Java ring. And anything from entering the car park to opening the doors of the reception to your office to your computer, we just tap, and where you left your computer comes back on. You go down in the cafe or the restaurant, you pay your meal or your coffee with it, and things were all through that. So our whole campus operated on that. And where it's going now is with contactless ways of doing all sorts of things, from transportation to tickets to payments, which is totally touchless, with deliveries which are very optimized with green technologies, where it's predictively there when geolocation based things tells you Mr. Patel's going to arrive there. Is there a car waiting for him, or is there some transport there? When is the next transport? And you'll get all this information at your fingertips. Going forward another 15, 20, 15 years, maybe maximum, it will all be visual. So, Google have tried it with glasses and things like that. I see, we just got to see and envisage things, because now you look at those computing power where it will do predictive and visual things. So AR and virtual reality and all this will really, really be established in 15 years, in my view. Okay. So the technologies will be there in 15 years to make AR and VR really core. So why go and even see someone when you can visualize them in front of you in a much better manner than the flat 2D manner that we see just now in a conference call. So even conference calls in the late 90s, we did a 3D way where someone can just walk around an exhibition and chat to the person. So, you don't have to go there. How many people have time to do that? So cost will drive this, and productivity will drive this, work-life balance will drive this. Does that kind of like in a long way answer that, Sergey?
Actually, I want to mention that VR and AR is already here.
But it's not established. No, it's not established. Yeah, it's not established. I'll tell you why it's not established. You will see small things doing emojis and things. And by the way, it's a friend of mine, Sketcher in California, doing that. You'll see small things like that with AR. Okay, VR, yes, you can do that. But
yeah,
I mean, it's too chunky. It's too chunky like this. Yeah. Who is gonna hang around with a $200-300 device to do that? No one. When it becomes like this, that's when it'll be deployable. So just like in the early days when we had those big brick Motorola's and NEC phones, with 30 minutes maximum time, to what we have now, right? So that's when I mean established. Okay. So, if you're a real estate agent, why do you have to go out of your office and show 10 different people houses and maybe you get one sale? You just show them the video and walk them around it and talk through your computer and say, on the left is this, on the right is there, or even have it be pre-recorded. They will visually see exactly like they are there. If they want a second viewing for real, then they'll do it. But investment people will be happy with that. I mean, when I invested a lot in property, majority of the times I didn't even see the property. It was mainly the numbers that mattered. So you cut all that visiting time. And the same thing with a lot of other businesses. You cut a lot of visiting time. I'll give you a very classic with doctors and doing remote surgery. That's already being trialed. So where you don't have qualified heart surgeon or cardiovascular person or whatever, they see the full micro level view of the person on the table. And all you have is someone operating it, but then robotics will take over at some stage as well. And they will be doing the operations remotely. I see even that happening. So that's another extreme case, right? But the small operations can very easily be done like that. So, when doctors think they have a safe job, forget it. Even you guys need to reskill and look at things like that. Same with lawyers who have been, sorry to say, raping all of us with big fees on every single second they are on there. Their days are numbered. Smart contracts is going to really mess them up, because let's be honest, again, I'll give you the real estate thing. There's only 50 or 100 different types of contracts in a buy-sell contract, lease, purchase, whatever it is, maximum. You create smart contract templates and the user will be able to drag and drop what type of contract they have and just send it. They've just saved themselves thousands. So lawyers as well are going to be disrupted. I can go across all sectors and say how disruptions will happen. And people cannot be comfortable or they'll die. End of story.
Mru, where the people are, if everything machine does for us, where is our jobs? We want to do
very good question. Very, very good question, which is what I was saying.
Yeah.
We all need to reskill. So today's stage is, how do I make that retail outlet go online? Very simple ways of doing it, okay? Show them what is a wallet, set them up with a currency wallet that will accept anything from fiat or crypto, put their store online, away they go. Hook them up with a delivery provider, Deliveroo, Uber Eats if they're in the restaurant business, but Deliveroo do other things. But there's the standard TNT, UPS, and there'll be lots of new players coming in the delivery market. Believe me.
Just in one word, evangelize the technologies to each other for being understandable and usable here and now, because it already exists.
It already exists. All exists. So help them And this is what we're doing on the Let's Beat Coronavirus thing, where we're helping people and doing a challenge. So what we say is, if I help you, you help 2 other people to do that, just as a help thing. So if I've helped someone transition their business into a digital online business, they have to help 2 other people do something. And that's the only way you'll multiply. Otherwise, everyone else dies, and you have to build an ecosystem. The biggest thing us humans have a problem with is we think everyone's a competitor. In this world, if you do not collaborate, you will not survive.
You have no way to,
no
you're
survival.
completely right.
Because you cannot do everything. I have a computing degree with 30 years in IT, and believe me, I don't know even 5% of what's happening in technology. All right, because it moves so fast, right? It is very, very, very fast paced. Yeah. And so people now, they need to reskill of different things. So what you are doing just now, if I was a doctor, dentist, whatever it is, why can't I be doing video training courses for the new up and coming apprentices or students and earn a revenue stream that way as well? Don't think you have to be on top of a table all the time drilling people's mouths. There's different ways of earning money, right?
Yeah.
And over there, you're only doing one person at a time. This, you can have a video training thousands of people if you want, wherever you want, right? Or showing people basic things of even hygiene and all that. I mean, this is a doctor friend of mine. I told them to already implement that, right? And then link it up with their social media channels and all of that, and away you go. Write books on it, write content on it. People have got to think different ways of doing revenue. If you are someone, a classic thing, the restaurant business, majority have now woken up and realized that they've got to do deliveries, but they need to go a step further. They need to start doing reward programs. They need to start doing various fast services based things. They need to start thinking, how do they keep the customer and the loyalty? Restaurants didn't care about loyalty that much in the early days. Now they need to care about loyalty because people have stayed at home and learned how to bloody cook. And they know that they're paying 5 times the price than what the ingredients cost. So now they've got to justify themselves even more, right? So mark my words, I'd say more than 50% of the restaurants we know today, in the next 6 months, they will change their menus.
Yeah.
They will change their menus because the standard way of doing that menu and serving people, people will not be able to justify going out and doing that and saying, what $200 bill for 2 people to eat? And what did I get? Just a fancy bit of fish and a couple of prawns or something like that. So people will demand different things from even restaurants.
Mru, let me a little bit argue with you, because when you are going to the restaurant, you are enjoy environment, you enjoy all this interesting place. You don't just go for have and eat. You just don't go for a meal. That's why. How do we do that digitalized? What's your opinion?
Here's my vision for that as well. Okay.
Wow.
So where I see the top end restaurants, what they are going to be doing. So if you are a $200, $300 ticket person type of restaurant and you want to scale, here's my vision for those guys. Hire trainees just to serve. Okay, so your delivery guy have a specialized delivery service person, so they can order it, but you create the environment on their doorstep when you deliver it. Does it make sense? So what happens is, the guy comes to your doorstep. He says, where's your table? He lays the table, cutlery, everything, stays there for 1 hour and leaves. Serves them all the different courses, warms it up and things like that for that classic, fine dining cuisine experience, but on their doorstep. So a lot of them will start doing that sort of thing as well, because people don't have time again to go out and that. Okay, there will be a portion of people who are fed up because, we are fed up staying at home and not doing that, right? There will be that. But you will soon find people, vast majority of people have enjoyed the 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 comfort and the benefit of having what I call me time, personal time,
Mhm.
and doing what you have to do and not being a suit and a tie all day long, right? So people will get to that. So the other ambience thing that you asked, how do you give them that experience, is and another thing, I was talking to a friend of mine in a restaurant business, is I say, how do you create a virtual restaurant? Do you know what I mean? As an app.
I think the best way, yes, to put on that.
That's what I mean. That's
that
exactly what I mean.
glasses.
So virtual. So there. So he liked it. I mean, whether he does something with it or not is another story. But I said, how do you create a virtual restaurant
May I show you something?
experience?
May I show you something? Yeah, just
Go for
please,
it.
because
Go
it's
for it.
the right place to do how that environment could be nowadays,
for
and
it.
then we're going to discuss it. Just
Go
let
for
me
it. Go for it.
unshare your screen, please, because I have very good video.
Go for it.
It's very interesting. Look how it's going to be looks like. Maybe in our very good.
Video. Let me tell you my view.
Okay.
This topic, I get the idea.
You know what? Okay. What we see here is.
Let me tell you my idea. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So you know what I was saying about proximity and ordering. So a very good friend of mine that I'm also been advising for the last 3 years nearly, called Zapago. So I'll give him a plug. Go and check out Zapago. Okay. So you can sit where you are, or even before you go to the event. So that place where they were going to go, they will know you are arriving there, and you've already said what you want. You are with a group of friends. We want a gin and tonic, martini, beer, red bottle of wine, whatever it is. And by the way, this is what our meal is. When you arrive from the mobile phone, it will know you've arrived. It will know what table you're on. You can go there. The guy serves you immediately your drink and all that, so you don't have to queue up at the bar. And you don't have to wait for a waiter to come and take your order, and 45 minutes later you might see the food.
I see. Get connected before arriving.
Before arriving.
Okay.
And then your food, your drink, everything arrives, and you just leave. You don't have to wait for the check to come, and you don't have to wait for someone to say, "Can I have the bill? Can I see this? Or can you give me copy?" All that bullshit time and wasted time is gone. So you just leave because it's paid through your app. And by the way, you've got 5 to 10% credit and bonus and rewards on it. Okay. So that's the Zapago. All right. And this is already happening. Now, imagine when you're going to a football match, stadiums, all these things where there's 50,000, 100,000 people, and you're waiting for your beer. No one is going to be doing that. In UK, this pilot is already happening, where you order from your seat, give me 4 beers, and it will know who you are, where you are, and it'll bring you your beer where you are sitting. you
Because
understand?
everyone knows your connection, everyone knows your GPS right way. Yes, I understand that. They're very clear. You're
So
right.
so that's where they are going, where the drink gets served to you rather than waiting in a long line. It could
Yeah.
be a cinema to popcorns to wherever it is. So multiple use application, totally touchless. So COVID savvy, and that's the way the world is going. Touchless economies, as I call it, right?
Okay, how do the people, how do humanity make that bridge happen? Because people have to engage another people as way to that technology to be used, not to be waiting for the service, not be waiting for the beer or something else. They have to explain, they have to make show, they have to make it understandable and usable. I don't know how to make it. Do you have any, I don't know,
Here,
thoughts about that? Because
yeah,
it's difficult
yeah.
for them.
Here's my view, okay?
Mhm.
And I'm sure you'll agree. The biggest problem we have is people like us in the blockchain and technology space. We don't make things easy for people to understand.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we really like to complicate bloody hash keys and private keys and X
Yeah.
number of this with 50 words and all this rubbish that I mean, it's not the way you do business, right? So one of the things I have is a fingerprint based card. Okay, one card which captures all your cards, so you don't have to carry a whole set of cards like this in your wallet, and you just have one smart card. Here, I think I'll probably have one. There you go. Look. Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So with a fingerprint, and away you go. So uh, with onboard cold storage, all right,
Mhm.
and 4 GB of storage. So you can put your crypto in there, you can put your driving license, medical records, anything that's important in there in a cold storage encrypted. So how do we make it easy? Very simple, touch, go. How do we make people easy to order this? A very simple 2-click, like a menu system uh, when they go into a restaurant. So it will know where you are. You can say which location you are. It's like ordering an Uber, exactly the same. This is where I am. This is where I'm going. Show me local restaurants. It shows you the restaurants. It connects you up with the menu. Would you like to order in advance? Boom. Let's see if we can put you onto a table. Boom. It's put you onto a table. Okay. What would you like to order? What time are you arriving? Boom. Right. You
What I
arrive.
see in comments, there is, it's not so easy to do. It's very complicated and it needs huge amount of programmers, huge amount of
That's the
smart
thing.
people.
So coming
It's
back to
about
your
cost.
question, yeah, coming back to your question, the users, the people who are going to be using the system, you have to make it easy. So technologists, let them do the technologist thing, but we have to have users like simple, make it simple for the users. Because technologists, if you leave them on their own, they will create something very messy that is not even usable.
Hmm.
I think that's what you were asking. So we have to make sure that end users trial this to make sure it is so simple to use. And this is where we go wrong. Same with our exchanges, same with our wallets, same with a lot of technology that is based on even simple online ordering systems, right? You have to go through so many things. People don't make it simple, one click, you know. And the whole reason for this, coming back to it, why blockchain is important is because of trust. People don't
Yeah.
trust. Okay, and because they don't trust anything or anyone or online, because they think this thing's going to be hacked, which is true. This thing is the most insecure device happening, right?
Yeah.
If you know how to
Unfortunately,
look,
yes.
yeah, if you know how to use it and protect it, sorry to say it, it's like if you wear two lots of condoms than one, you will know what to do, right? Sorry to say it like that. So you need to teach people what to do and how to do it, right? And
What I see, the big thing which is already happened now, finally humanity goes to the education online, finally,
correct,
because of
correct,
lockdown, and all of them are here,
correct,
they are already
correct.
get engaged. Yeah.
Correct. You know, in the 1990s, we created an e-learning, distant learning, we used to call it in those days,
Yeah.
and it was based on DVDs.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we had DVD-based distant learning courses, and we did it as a trial for some local authorities in UK. 20 odd years ago. This is when .com started.
Yeah.
So we were already doing it. So a lot of the things that's happening now, I'm saying, Nothing's new. The thing is,
Really?
nothing is new. Only the technology has changed, the speed has changed, the volume has changed, the accessibility has changed, the client user base has changed, and these are the things that have changed, to name just a few, right? But if we make it simple, people have got to think, make it simple and deploy it in scale and advertise the hell out. So where people have lost jobs, coming back to your original questions, they should look at what's going to take off: marketing, advertising, digital inputs, hosting remote seminars, webinars. There's way to monetize that. If you're a top chef or a top mechanic or top whatever, you have a certain skill, knowledge, experience, etc. You have to share. So you've got to find alternative ways to share it and help people do it. You can do remote cooking classes through Zoom. You can do so many different things. You just got to adopt using technologies into your business. That's all.
Yeah, sure. Mru, I think I have to let you continue your introduction via your presentation as well, because very interesting pictures there. Yes, just share it with us and continue, or it's already
no. I mean, I could carry on. We can do less pictures and talk if you want. So the other thing, I think where the world is going to now as well, in our crypto and all that space, the big disruptors in blockchain are, and I've been in these. So real estate, if you think about it, it's $250 trillion market. Okay, it's one of the biggest markets in the world.
I think for the beginning, we have to talk about CBDC. We have to talk about.
I will come into all that, okay? I'll tell you why it will work, okay? Let me build that up to say why CBDC and all this is important or not, okay? So the big money is spent on real estate, 250 trillion odd. If you look at just trading, 7 trillion a day gets trading. Money exchanges hands, which is the Fintech, Swift, Telex, and all these different ways of exchange of money. Okay. So exchanges is a big thing. That's why we have 1,000+ exchanges happening around the world. And I lose track how many exchanges open every day. Yeah. So even for us, what we are doing is we're trying to make sure that the people who join the Betra community, we share our profits with them. Because what hasn't been happening in the past is people get greedy. I mean, dare I say it, eToro being the classic one, and I'm an account holder there, by the way. A big spread in fees, but that's it. They don't share it with the people who are trading there, right? No form of big loyalties or paybacks. And we share it with the community with less fees, right? Nowadays, people accept either free or very small fee. Why? Because instant, cheap, easy to transfer money in a split second of a time. All right, this happens now.
And finally, without intermediaries, without brokers.
And all that middlemen and what I call the cartels of the treasuries, the central banks, and all these government-based authorities who've been printing money, which is what's happening now. Someone's got to pay. Printing money, devaluations, and all these things that will happen, that will see GDP affected. All these things will happen where you have blockchain-based digital currencies which have got nothing to do with government. Government wants to regulate it. Why? Because they are seeing that they are losing control, okay? And they are losing control because they've had it too good too long. Even Swift organization, if you think about it, 7 trillion a day, Swift gets a big chunk of that. They are going to be affected with a lot of challenger style international cross-border payment systems who are doing it for microcents, right? Microcents. And it's instant. Swift, 2-3 days, someone sits on your money, be it all those intermediaries, as you said, and they're making money on your money, right? And people have got to know this. They are making money on your money. So that's the second big disruptor. Third is all these funds, pension funds, REITs, all these people who so-called manage and wealth manage people, and I will name them out, the Goldman Sachs, JP Morgans, etc., who think crypto and all this is rubbish. Now, even these guys, Jamie, I said it a few times now, They are building it. Goldman, they're building it because their customers are demanding it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, their customers will leave and go somewhere else. You think they're going to lose all that billions of money? No, they won't. So they will do it. And they are soon finding that that control from what I call the so many governmental intermediaries and the banking guys and all the authorities and all the regulators and all the other middlemen that are involved in the software and supply to make this infrastructure for a simple thing to send money A to B. All that middleman is cut. A can send money to B through a chat, WhatsApp, or wherever nowadays. QR codes. You go to China, you pay for your vegetables, you touch QR code, paid, free of charge, right? Why are banks and all these people charging so much? And Visas and MasterCards, American Express, all these guys are threatened. So what's happening, in my view, is fintechs have said this is the way we'll operate in a decentralized manner with crypto and digital assets. Governments being lobbied with all these banks and everyone saying, you need to do this or else. It will be out of control. It won't have any value. Your currency will get devalued. So you have all these fights and debates happening, okay? Hence why all the central banking digital currencies are being formed across the world. China, Germany, UK, you name it, America, everyone, India, everyone's looking at it, okay? Why? Because all they're going to do is create a government-based dollar, yuan, rupee, pound, whatever it is, euro. It's a government-based thing. But the whole principle of it is, in blockchain, it's done once and you don't go and print more, right? There's a supply bandwidth, right? It's not like you have a crisis, you go, let's go and print some more, right? It doesn't happen like that. And it's done through different ways of consensus or proof of work, or depends what type of coin it is. So China is trialing this out. Here's my view why China is doing this. They've had enough of the dollar. So this is a war against the dollar. It is nothing to do with them wanting to do blockchain and digital currencies. That is just noise, okay? They've had enough. If 70% of international trade is done on the dollar, why not the Chinese yuan? That's what they are saying. So how do they disrupt it? They create a digital currency and they can do it faster than the Americans, because Americans got a lot of red tape and, fighting between different politicians saying this and not this and all that. So central bank digital currencies, if they don't do it, I see at least 50% of all those governing bodies and authorities and treasuries and all of these losing jobs. And that's what they're scared of just now. And all these guys who are career politicians, they only worry about their pensions and their jobs, right? So they've got to do something.
Mru.
Problem is they are not agile enough. They're not agile enough. And they're not productive, creative, and innovative enough. Speed of execution.
I see. What I see in China, they are doing digitalization, just not let the people be out of the control. They are trying to control them in another way, in digital way, because when they are creating crypto yuan, everything is controlled by their hands as well. They don't want to lose their business. But you are talking about that blockchain has to be as national, without any kind of nationality. It's just going to be for folks, for the crowd. Is just based on the crowd industry, just reliable on the code, on the nothing else, without any kind of intermediaries and regulation. But Chinese do on their own regulation. That's why they being go off grid of the dollars. What your thoughts about that?
Obvious. It's obvious. No, it's obvious why. And most governments should look at it. I'll tell you why they should. Because, they talk about money laundering and crypto has money laundering and all this. But, it's not even 1,000th of the percent of what money laundering happens with, printed fiat money. If you compare it in relation, it's nothing, right? So if they're worried about that, why don't they create a way that money laundering doesn't happen, but to embrace the crypto community and momentum? If anything, I would say, if they made a 1% or 2% taxation rather than the 20 and 30%, no one would say no to it. But look at the amount of additional tax governments will collect. Just look at the amount of additional tax that they don't get, they will collect. So just make 1 or 2%. No one is going to say no to pay for that. But don't do 20, 30%. So it comes down to that, because majority of that 20, 30%, where is it spent on the government? Wasting time, money, flying around here, there, and everywhere, having a meeting for the sake of having a meeting, or doing wars, or doing oil-based rubbish. And we can talk about all these conspiracy ways, but a lot of it does not make sense because it's wasted on things that government are doing not necessary.
Okay.
So why should the taxpayer pay for it?
Okay, Mru, producer said that we are now at least 1 hour leave, and I wanna just let me summarize, or just do it by yourself. Summarize our today's conversation, our today's discussion to one of the topic for how people get attracted, what they have to do, and how they can improve their lives and be much more smarter than now.
Okay, I would say based on my 10 C's that I presented earlier on, okay, actually I could present it now. Let's do that. We didn't do that, okay?
Yeah.
Can we share the screen?
Yes, it not works. It should.
Yep, let me do that. Let me share the screen. What they should do, that's exactly your question.
Works? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we see your screen.
That's your screen. Okay, 1 second. Let me get that. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah, for sure. 10.
Okay. So these are my 10 C's. My 10 C's. So first, cash. C stands for cash.
Now I get it.
You said countries. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I'm sorry.
The 10 C's. So it's a good way to remember what are all the C's. So everything starting with the word C. All right?
Yeah, I see. Now I got you. Yeah.
Because COVID C, I thought, let me choose the word C.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got to have some fun how people remember things. So the 10 C's post-COVID for survival. First of all, cash is king. What people should do is not waste their cash, okay? Don't waste your cash. And if you're going to invest, invest very, very, very wisely, because in my view, wealth managers are only product salespeople. They don't know anything about wealth, or majority of people don't, because they will only sell you the products and services of their company.
Yeah.
Okay? You can be a better wealth manager if you become your own bank and wealth manager. Have your own wallet, do the research yourself, and see what is hot and what is not.
Sure.
Okay? You're no good then anyway. And at least you are then independent away from someone's product and services. You know? So cash is king. Manage your cash flow. I would say have a spreadsheet and say, this is all my incomes. This is all my costs. This is what I need rather than want. And let your wants on one side. And crunch that number down on the needs, okay? Once you've done that, then say, how do I use this additional money now to transform myself to new things? So it could be doing digital courses, online or whatever, learning about how they can take their, I call it my sexy model, S-E-K-S-E, all right? So define your sexy model, S-E-K-S-E.
Okay.
So skills, experience, knowledge, education, and strengths, okay? So define that for you, and then see with your passion, if money wasn't an object, how would you deploy that in today's market and the future market, like what I was painting, where the vision of the market is going. And then deploy your cash to do that, okay? And transition, because if you do nothing, again, you will die, because it's very nice to go into a comfort zone. So the second C based on that is change. So if you don't change, you will die. You cannot sit there and do nothing. Change everything from your way you eat, live, breathe, do exercise, all the way through to your own personal branding, your business models. end-to-end change it needs. It cannot be just a one piece. It needs an end-to-end change. And this 2 months lockdown hopefully got people thinking along these lines. I certainly have been doing that myself. Third C is cut that middleman. You know what we said, cut that middleman and cut those costs. So for yourself as well as if it's a business, think of your whole middleman in your own business, how to reach the client. If you're going through many hops before you get to the client, think of ways of bringing your product and service to the client directly as possible. Collaborations is different, but the deliveries, collaborations, I mean, is someone who's not in your business, who's helping you deliver that service without putting too much cut on top of a cut. Okay. Fourth one is use creative ways to use technologies to create different visions. So we went through that earlier on as well. And, people say, think outside the box. I say, think there is no box. So really, there is really no box, and the sky is not the limit. So just think totally wacky. When someone laughs at your idea, that's the idea I generally like, So when you bounce your idea, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, and people laugh, hey, you're stupid. I said, yep, that's the one I want, because no one's thought of it, right? So think totally different.
My say is just look around, go somewhere else and have a look what's going on outside. Try to attract it for yourself and use it in your way. I think this is the out of your box, maybe.
Yes.
Go to another box. Go to another human box. Yeah.
Go to another box. Yeah, that's why I said there is no box. So go wherever you want. That's why I said there's no box. Go wherever you want.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is your model, control that supply chain, So any form of supply chain that is in between you and your client, shrink it. Next one is make your whole business client-centric. Meaning, if you are in the, conference and media, let's take your business, okay? So in your business, in the past, you may have done events, hiring a hall, hotels, all that time-consuming ways. Okay, why? Because you thought that's a good way of doing it, okay? Yeah. And I always used to tell people, I can't come to speak there. No, another speaking, I'm flying here, I'm flying. Don't worry, we'll pay for your flight. Yeah, but I got to spend half a day going there, half a day coming there. So meaning you are not thinking of me, you're thinking of you. You understand? So now you got to think of me and say, you know what? How can I do my conferences based on this person's time to meet the audience to deliver them the message? So give him a speech or panel or whatever it is and distribute that to a lot bigger distribution list than what you would have done for people spending money, where everyone's going to be stopped now, or questioned very hard. That, people say, oh, it's good to have face-to-face networking and building relationships. Yeah, you better justify it very, very hard now, right? Because it's cost not only the flying and hotels and the restaurants and all the other things, it's also the time based for the client and based for the audience to turn up as well. So you got to think.
I don't know how it's happened, but really for me personally, this online conversation don't treat it as something seriously. I have to meet people seriously in hotels, in big rooms, in very interesting places. But now we are here because we are in isolation, and I'm sure that we don't really go on that place because it's much more closer to each other and is not so difficult. We haven't fly over all the earth and just for one time meeting with each other. I think
waste of time and money. No, but it's nothing new. I used to do this in the 90s and 2000s with Skype and all these other video conferencing rooms. In those days, we used to have video conferencing rooms. So and we used to sit in one room with a video camera and a little conferencing speaker in the middle, and someone else in California doing that. We are in London and we're having a meeting. If it's just
we
for
have very good pictures with best backgrounds, that's it. And
yes, that's it.
Yeah,
it's all done. It's done. So people will find this now as the new way. For people like me, who've been doing this for 20 odd years anyway, no change. It's only technology has changed a bit, but that's it. But this is how life should be. And I said to you, 100 flights in 7 months, it's not easy.
Yes, it's
Running
really
around one
not so
place to
easy.
the other, talking, and sometimes your voice goes because of the air and food and drink and all the rest of it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, then the next C I say is, uh, look at your competition, because competition has changed.
yes,
Okay, competition really has changed. So just because you think you are a doctor and you're a specialist in certain thing doesn't mean they will all come to you. Now for consultancies, they can go online and get the same information without paying you consultancy fees.
yeah,
And this can be a totally different person who's got a web based, web MDs and all these people who are already doing it. And now this will improve, because what they'll do is they'll deploy specialist doctors, and soon you'll be able to do VR, AR conversations with these guys. And why does everyone have to move around and visit and sit in waiting rooms and things like that? Okay. Uh,
yeah,
and what does the doctor do? I don't know what they do in Russia, but I tell you, in UK, when you go to the doctor, he's hardly got 5 minutes to talk to you. He'll do, open your mouth, let me take your pulse, let me take your blood pressure. Okay, I think take this and go. Now clients can do their pulse and blood pressures and all that, even from their apps with smart devices. I mean, why do they need to go? And then they just got to, and they'll be automatically connected. That's where I see automatically connected to doctors and centers, who will know whenever there's any fluctuations. The doctor will be telling, hey, by the way, this is not normal. I think now you need to come and see me.
yeah,
So you've got to think like that. Competition's changed, because it's the technology companies who are developing these apps, not doctors, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's another friend of mine, MediLives. I'll give him a shout, Sonny. And he's doing that thing as well. And I'm helping him talk about that as well. So, you know, uh, the competition has totally changed. Don't think the competition is just in your line of business. The next C is the contactless economy. I talked to you about that earlier, how people are expecting things to be delivered without touching, paying, reaching their pockets and all that. That's happening, where things come to them rather than them queuing up. Yeah, that's what I mean by contactless economy. The second last C is challenging yourself, meaning if you want a work-life balance, you cannot be a 9 to 5 person. You have to challenge yourself. So I think we were talking about it earlier before the call started. When I don't have a concept of time now, I could be working. In fact, last night I worked till 4 o'clock, but then I woke up at 10:30. So,
yeah,
it's not like um, you have a set time. If you're talking to people in Asia or people in America and all that, the world has become totally flat, no matter what
yes,
NASA and SpaceX say it's round, it's become very flat. It's not round anyway, it's very flat. You know, you have one big continuous line, you just carry on going and going, and you don't see infinity. So it's
yeah,
24/7. In fact, I say it's 25/7 if you've got the bandwidth, right? The world has become really bad. So you need to challenge yourself, but you need to challenge yourself by deploying technology. This is the thing what people will realize. You need to have a work-life balance, otherwise you will not be healthy. So that's where I say, you have to rest, you have to eat healthy, you have to do the exercise, and you have to keep your mind very, very active. Okay, as long as you do those few things, the work is something you do, that's your passion, when you can allow it in your 24-hour day. What tells you that I can't be writing a presentation at 3 o'clock in the morning and deliver it whatever time I want, or publish it wherever I want, right? Or an
yeah,
article, or doing a recording of this nature, right? So just now in China, it's nighttime for them, right? But you will record this and you'll put it on your YouTube channel. So nothing is lost as such, right? You've got
yes,
the reach.
nothing.
You've
Yeah,
got the reach, yeah? So you've got to challenge yourself like that. And the final C, just to summarize, is what we said earlier, is collaborate. No one can do the whole job alone.
yeah,
Don't think everyone is your competition. Try and collaborate, try and make the ecosystem work for you. You cannot all be reinventing the wheel. You have to take bits of modules from here, there, and everywhere, and just make sure everyone gets a fair slice of the pie. That, in a way, summarizes it, I hope, in what people need to do, which was your question. Does that cover it?
Yeah, for sure. Now I got all the 10 C's, which are you mentioned in our conversation.
You should have asked me.
I'm really glad that you have a time. I'm really glad to have you here. It's very interesting. I'm sure that this conversation, this discussion also get viral with the people around. I want to say a lot of thanks to you for your time. We are much more than 1 hour live now on YouTube, on my personal channel. I go and spread this information with you as well. I want to say a lot of thank you. And now we have to say goodbye to each other, but I want to say you again a little bit later.
Done. Okay. Great having you. Thank you. And send me the link, okay?
Yes, for sure. Thanks a lot. Now we have to go off. Not off the grid.